You know those mornings when you don't wake up because of an alarm, but because your body just says, okay, fine, I'm ready? Yeah, that was me today. I stretched, yawned, and just lay there for a second, thinking, do I really have to move? Spoiler, I did. So I walked to the bathroom and turned on the tap. The water was freezing. When I wash my face, it's not just about cleaning, it's how I wake up my brain. Cold water, instant clarity. Then I looked in the mirror, messy hair, sleepy eyes, and said, okay, girl, let's do this. In the kitchen, I boiled the water, poured it into my mug, and watched the steam rise. It smelled like hope and caffeine. I added a little milk, stirred slowly, and took a sip. When you work from home, coffee kind of becomes your coworker, you know? It doesn't talk, but somehow still judges you when you pour the second cup. I leaned against the counter, listening to the quiet hum of the morning. Outside, someone was walking a dog. Inside, my cat was already judging me for existing too slowly. I smiled because everything felt calm, not perfect, just real. I stood by the window, watching how sunlight touched the counter, breathed in that warm air with a hint of coffee and something new. The day hadn't really started yet, and that's my favorite part, that tiny, quiet moment when anything still feels possible. I opened my laptop and told myself, let's be productive. It sounded strong, confident, for about 5 seconds. Then I realized I'd been staring at my to-do list instead of actually doing anything. Classic me. The list looked so serious, all those tasks and perfect lines. So I picked up a pen and added a few doodles just to make it friendlier. I started writing a plan. You know, big goals, big dreams. But somehow I ended up decorating it with tiny hearts and stars. I laughed a little. It looked more like a Valentine's card than a work plan. Still, it made me feel calmer. I sat back and looked at the page, thinking, okay, maybe productivity can be cute. Then I typed a few emails, checked one message, closed another tab. Small steps, but steps. My cat jumped up on the table, sat next to the keyboard, and stared at me like, you done yet? I smiled because, honestly, he looked more professional than I did. I reached out to pet him, but of course, he walked away. Classic cat behavior. Zero emotional support, 100% drama. I took a sip of my now cold coffee and tried to focus. The word focus sounds easy, but it's like yoga for the brain. You have to breathe and come back every time your mind runs away. Finally, I looked around, stretched, and thought, maybe that's my style. A little chaos, a little caffeine, and a lot of trying again. After about an hour, I decided to take a short break. You know, just 5 minutes. I stood up, stretched my arms, and walked to the kitchen to make some tea. The air felt still, calm, like the world was politely waiting for me to return. I filled the kettle, watched the bubbles start, and listened to that soft, boiling sound. My kind of music. I picked my favorite cup, the one with a tiny crack nobody notices but me, and poured the tea. I thought, 5 minutes and I'm back. Famous last words. I sat down on the couch, grabbed my phone, and opened YouTube. Just one video, I promised myself. One turned into 3, then 4, then a video about how to focus better. Oh, the irony. When I finally looked at the clock, my 5-minute break had turned into almost an hour. I laughed out loud. I mean, who even believes in short breaks anymore? Not me. My cat jumped up on my lap like, "Welcome back, human." I scratched his head, sighed, and said, in my mind, "Yeah, I know. I lost the fight." But honestly, I needed that. I sat there for a moment, sipping my tea, feeling the warmth travel through my fingers. Sometimes you just pause, breathe, forget the time, and somehow that's exactly what keeps you going. I stood up again, smiled at my screen, and thought, okay, break's over. Let's actually do this. It was almost noon when I noticed the calendar reminder, meeting in 10 minutes. My heart skipped a beat. I totally forgot. I jumped up from the chair, looked around, and realized my room looked like a tornado had passed through. Not ideal. I ran to the closet, grabbed a white shirt, and of course, wrinkled. Every single time. I plugged in the iron, waited, and tried to smooth it out, but somehow it got worse. A little water, a little steam, and suddenly I created a new modern pattern, artistic chaos. I laughed and thought, well, the camera only sees from the waist up, so we're safe. I put on the shirt, tucked in one side, the other didn't care, and sat down at my desk. I checked my hair, turned on the camera, and joined the call right on time. My voice sounded nervous at first, but everyone smiled, and I relaxed. We talked, shared updates, laughed, and I nodded a lot to look engaged, classic survival move. Then something funny happened. I started enjoying it. I understood the jokes, added a few, and felt like part of the team. When the meeting ended, I leaned back, exhaled, and smiled. Sometimes showing up, even with a wrinkled shirt and shaky voice, is exactly the kind of success that counts. Lunchtime finally arrived, and my brain was begging for food. I walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, and stared inside like it would suddenly create something for me. Spoiler, it didn't. Just milk, half a lemon, and something that looked like it used to be cheese. I laughed and decided to make my go-to meal, avocado toast. Simple, fast, and impossible to ruin. Well, almost impossible. I grabbed the bread, put it in the toaster, and cut the avocado. Perfect green, soft, but not too soft. I felt proud already. Then my cat jumped onto the counter, sniffed the avocado like a food critic, and looked offended. I told him, "Not for you, sir," but he ignored me completely, flicked his tail, and walked away. Typical coworker energy. When the toast popped up, I spread the avocado, added salt, pepper, and a tiny bit of lemon. I drizzled some olive oil too. Fancy, right? It looked like something from Instagram. I took a picture for memories, not followers, and sat down to eat. First bite? Perfection. I played soft music, leaned back, and enjoyed the calm. No calls, no messages, just the quiet rhythm of my fork tapping the plate. The sunlight moved slowly across the table, warming my hands. I thought, maybe working from home isn't freedom or laziness. Maybe it's learning to enjoy little things. And that toast, my best meeting of the day. By late afternoon, my eyes started to feel heavy, that post-lunch slow motion. I closed my laptop for a second and realized how quiet the room was. No clicks, no messages, just soft city sounds outside. I stood up, stretched, and decided to end the day early. My brain had clearly logged out already. I turned off the lights, grabbed my hoodie, and tied my hair loosely. The air by the door felt cooler, almost like the world was waiting. I put on my sneakers, opened the window for one deep breath, and thought, I need to move. Working from home can feel like living in one long, endless chair. Outside, the air hit my face, crisp, calm, alive. I walked down the street, listening to the city winding down, shops closing, dogs barking, kids laughing in the distance. I plugged in my headphones and played my comfort playlist. Soft beats, warm voices, nothing dramatic. The park wasn't far. Trees swayed, lights blinked, and the sky was turning that perfect shade between gold and blue. I felt my shoulders drop, all the day's noise slowly melting. I sat on a bench, looked around, and smiled. This was the reward part. No deadlines, no multitasking, just breathing. I sipped from the cup of cocoa I'd grabbed on the way, watched the steam curl up, and thought, maybe this is why I love remote work. It gives me time to find tiny, quiet pieces of life that usually rush by. I walked deeper into the park, the path glowing under the streetlights. Leaves rustled around my feet, and the air smelled like wet grass and evening calm. I pulled my coat tighter and slowed down because for once I wasn't rushing anywhere. I looked up, and the sky was fading into deep blue, a few stars already showing. I thought about my day, the coffee, the calls, the tiny messes and small wins. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real. That's the thing about working from home. It teaches you to notice life in slow motion. I realized I could choose how my day looked, when to pause, when to breathe. Not everyone gets that kind of freedom. As I walked, I passed people with dogs, couples talking softly, and one little kid riding a scooter way too fast. I smiled because everyone seemed to have their own version of almost okay. I sat down on a low wall, took out my phone, and snapped a picture. The park lights, the sky, my half-empty cocoa. No filters, no captions, just proof that peace can be this simple. I breathed in, breathed out, and felt that quiet kind of happiness, the one that doesn't shout, just stays. I thought, maybe this is what home really means now. Not a place, but a feeling you carry with you. Calm, warm, and a little bit caffeinated.